Today I'm going to give you some free writing advice. If you're somebody who's has no intention of writing, hopefully you'll stick around to the end anyway. But for all the aspiring writers out there, I'm just going to say this. I'm not a master or an expert when it comes to writing, so I'm not talking from that perspective. I'm talking from the perspective of someone who's made mistakes, and I wish I had done things differently. Here's my advice. Do not be afraid to publish your first book. That is a mistake I believe I made at the beginning when it came to writing and publishing. I understand why that it can be a hurdle for a lot of people. It's scary to publish your first book. You don't want to be laughed at. You don't want your first book to be bad. You want it to be the best book ever. But in my opinion, and this is something I've learned, I think, through a few different avenues, but in my opinion, you should just embrace the possibility that your book might be bad. Embrace the possibility that even if it's the best you can be, even if it's your best work possible, someone is going to look at it and say it's no good. It could be a critic, could be a friend, could be yourself. But regardless, it's going to be impossible to please everybody. When I released my first book, well, before I released it, I had gotten some friends to, I got a family member and a friend to both read the same book. One of them was like 5 out of 5, excellent, love it, can't wait for the next one. And the other one was like, 3 out of 5, wasn't my favorite. And that kind of helped me understand that you can't please everybody. And I guess looking back, I wish I had just, persevered a little bit earlier and just, got that first book out there. I think one thing that held me back, not only was it the fear, but also I thought back then that I had to go through a publishing house. And I'm just going to be clear. If you can ever go through a publishing house, good for you. That's awesome. But you know what? Nowadays, we can do that ourselves. We can publish through various different avenues. All you got to do is just pay the basic stuff like for book cover and maybe a little bit of marketing, maybe someone to format the book, edit it for you. But you can, front the cost yourself and then just throw it out into the world. There's very little holding us back nowadays. If you want to just, make your own cover, do your own formatting, do your own editing, you can do all that yourself. Let word of mouth get your book out there. But don't use excuses of any kind to keep that first book out, away from the public. Don't feel like you have to keep working at it to make it perfect, because it's probably never going to be perfect. You're always going to be dissatisfied, so just get it out there. That first book, it's probably going to be the hardest for you. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but it might be the hardest hurdle, you have to go through there. Getting that first book out there is probably going to be one of the hardest hurdles you ever have. But there is a reward there. Once you get past that first book, you can move on to the second book. If I had never published this first one, I never would have gotten around to making the second one. Now, I will go ahead and say that you might have some hurdles with that second book, but that'll have to keep for a different video. But just to sum it up, publish that first book, get it out there. You might not make any money, but at least you can say, hey, I'm a published author. I've done it. And then you can move on from there. So, God bless you all and happy writing.